Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty serious show here for you guys that we definitely want to get into. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel here. Now, as y'all know, ESPN from time to time finds itself entrenched in drama. This dates all the way back to when, Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman kind of had their falling out on ESPN First Take when Max Kellerman was removed. We covered that story extensively. Then, of course, we covered the Malika Andrews thing. We covered the Ime Udoka thing. We covered Malika Andrews and Stephen A. Smith and the Kendrick Perkins one. Then there was the one with, Jalen Rose, who we're discussing today, where basically Jalen Rose on, I believe, NBA Countdown, one of the shows there featuring himself, Stephen A. Smith, Michael Wilbon, Mike Greenberg. At that time, they were talking about the possibility of Ime Udoka being hired by the Brooklyn Nets. This was during the time when they were looking for a head coach, when they ultimately decided to hire assistant coach Jacques Vaughn. But at that time, Jalen Rose was on ESPN where he said he doesn't understand why the lady who Ime Udoka was involved with identity is not being made public if this was a consenting relationship between two grown adults. Maybe a segment or two after that, Jalen Rose came on TV within the same show and basically said, "I am Jalen Rose and I apologize for the statements that I made. After conducting my research, I now understand why her name should not be made public." And a lot of us were like, was that something worth apologizing for? Were you able to conduct this extensive research within a segment or two? How did you do that when you were still shooting the show, right? So a lot of people were pretty upset with that. Now, there was this kind of rumor circulating around the internet that somehow Jalen Rose had been fired from ESPN because of some inappropriate contact that he had with Malika Andrews. So I want to read quickly from an article here. This is from thenews.com. It says, "Has Jalen Rose been fired from ESPN for inappropriate behavior with Malika Andrews? Reports have surfaced claiming that the former NBA player Jalen Rose has been let go from ESPN after an incident involving fellow analyst Malika Andrews. Reports have surfaced claiming that the former NBA player Jalen Rose has been let go from ESPN after an incident involving fellow analyst Malika Andrews. Buckcrack Sports, in a tweet, claimed that the ex-NBA star was fired for inappropriate behavior, which was allegedly taped, Sportskeeda reported. In the video, a voice, which is supposed to be Malika Andrews, could be heard telling Rose, "Get her hands off of her," out of her armpit. However, Sportskeeda said that the report was false and termed the video, edited as Buckcrack Sports, is a famous parody and satire account known for making up headlines. It also mentions that the platform recently published a report that claimed LeBron James was suspended by the Lakers for speeding. And basically the article goes on. So the first thing that I need to say from the onset is simply this. It's not true. It's not true. Jalen Rose was not fired by ESPN because of that interaction. Now, I saw the video initially, and I couldn't tell. Like, when you saw it, she said, it sounded like she said, "Get your arms out of my armpit," or "hand out of my armpit." But apparently it's not true, right? And then the second thing was their interaction seemed pretty normal afterwards, like within that same 2 to 3 second time frame. But now we know it's not true. He is still working for ESPN. And as a matter of fact, if you Google Jalen Rose, you will see in a video published maybe 24 hours ago with him on ESPN talking about what just happened between the Lakers and other things. So Jalen Rose is still fully employed by ESPN. He has not been fired by the network at all. He still works for the network, and I think it was recently on Get Up This Morning. So that's the first thing. That's the first thing I want to just kind of dispel right there. He's not been fired. So some of you may be asking the question, then why are you talking about this? I'll tell you exactly why. Given the fact that a lot of people felt that he got fired, a lot of people were producing content around it, and a lot of people were saying a range of things. So here's the reason why we're producing this show, and I'm going to give you guys our message here. And it kind of relates to what Ime Udoka did. My message is simply this. Even though this is not a true story, and Malika Andrews did not get Jalen Rose fired, it's a fake report, a fake story. The important thing to learn here is you got to be careful in general with the way you conduct yourself with people, especially in the workplace. One thing that may be considered as a joke to you or considered playful to you may not be considered playful to the other party. That's number one. Number two, even though you and an individual may be joking in the moment and you guys are laughing and you're thinking you're having an innocent moment, that thing may come back to bite you in the butt. You don't have to go any further than looking at the situation with Michael Irvin, the former Dallas Cowboy. You saw the allegation that came out surrounding him, right? I think it was around some inappropriate behavior or something like that. The minute that news dropped, I think the NFL Network dropped him. It dropped him. And then ultimately it ended up to them, I think they conducted a case. I think he decided to sue them. I think them, and I think it was the Marriott, if I'm not mistaken, or the Hilton. I think it's a Marriott hotel for something like $100 million. And it became this big thing. Now, whether or not he wins or not is a different point. The fact of the matter is, however, after we saw the video, we saw that it wasn't anything like the way it was being described. But after we saw, but the fact of the matter is, your reputation has been mired by a story like that. Whether it's true or not, your name has been associated, unfortunately, with an incident like that. So the moral of the story here is simply this. Be very careful with how you interact with people. Be very careful with the jokes that you tell. You may be thinking you're telling a joke that's funny, and in the moment that person may be laughing with you, but it may come back to bite you in the butt, and that person may say, hey, look, so-and-so person did this, and it made me feel uncomfortable. Number one. Number two, know where to draw the lines. Know where to draw the lines. That's at the workplace. That's at the coffee shop, wherever it is. Don't become too familiar with people where all of a sudden people can start throwing dirt on your name. Be very, very careful about that. Keep your distance. Only joke around with people that you really, really know. Don't just meet a complete stranger and you think, oh, okay, I'm going to be up here laughing it up and chumming it up with this guy or this girl or whatever it is, because you never know what may come after that. So you have to be very, 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 very careful. Now, unfortunately, this report was put out there and it's not true. It's not true. And now you have Jalen Rose's name, unfortunately, annexed to a messy story like this, when the guy had nothing to do with it. And just today you saw him working at ESPN. He was there. I Googled him and I saw him talking at ESPN. So I don't know how he got fired. And he's still at the network. But to me, the moral of the story is be careful. Be careful. There are always people out there that are just willing to just get over on people, and they'll take people's kindness for weakness. And if they see an opportunity to get a lick, they will take that opportunity. So try to be as professional as possible. Don't joke around with anyone. Me, I'm very careful when I go out. I say, yeah, I'll be joking without watching, but I'm like, this seems like a weirdo. I'm not going to be joking with this person right here before I come and hear some nonsense later on that Charles said this. I'm gonna keep my distance. You, hey, what up? Hi. Nice to meet you. All right, let me keep it moving. You got to be very careful, and you got to be able to read the room, because these things happen all the time, especially if you're someone that's in a position to lose something. If you have something, it means you stand to lose something. So you got to be very careful, because there are people out there looking to have a come up on somebody. So that's my takeaway from all of this. It's a fake story. It's a fake story, but I'm using it as an opportunity to just give a warning, to say, hey, be mindful of your jokes, your behavior, be very careful. It's the world we live in today, and anything can happen, and you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're being accused for one thing or the other. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comment section, and we catch you guys on the next show.